Okay, so what I wanted to talk about the slightly different interpretation of the Alexander technique directions for those who feel a bit collapsed, a bit here. For people with the hypermobility like I have, so it tends to be either pulling yourself up far too much or going into the opposite of just of the collapse when our muscles just overwork and we realize that we can't hold ourselves in that pattern. So what I have here is the table, and what I'm trying to put is I'm trying to get the environment when I'm putting my whole arm on the table, including the elbows. So I'm sitting in the chair near the table, and you can join me as well. And I've pulled the arms and the elbows on the table just in front of me to feel the support of the table, to feel that I don't have to hold my shoulders. They're just nicely resting. My forearm, my elbows on the table in front of me, allowing my neck to work less, because a lot of hypermobility people use their necks to hold their shoulders up. It's very often hypermobility people feel the shoulders are very heavy. So if you would like to at some point to wiggle, please feel free. Hypermobility people like their wiggling, like they're shifting from side to side. Please do so. If you're not comfortable, please move. I would like you to be sure that you have your lovely feet just nicely resting on the floor or on the ground. But again, if you would like to get up, please feel free to do so. So your feet is lovely and flat on the ground, not close together, not too close together, not too far apart. So you just let your feet to act as the balance point. Put as much forearm as you can get on the table, including your elbow joint if you can. So you may want to come a bit closer to the table to accommodate that. Then you're quite simply going to consider connection between your head and your feet. So connection thinking, rephrase your thinking if you're Alexander technique teacher or student. You want to connect the head and the feet through the front of the body or the back of the body, it doesn't matter at the moment. Now you're aware of your sitting bones as nice halfway point between your head and your feet. You're more than welcome to do the buttock dance. Many hypermobility people feel uncomfortable in the sitting, so what you can do is clench one buttock and then the other one, to creating a little buttock dance, and then stop. So you're aware of that sitting bones now, resting again. Back on the chair is the half point between your head and your feet. You're going to consider how your lovely shoulders connect to each other. And you're going to send the connecting thought from one tip of one shoulder through the scapula and another scapula to another shoulder, and from the other shoulder through the scapula to the other one. You can just do it simultaneously, like zip zap. This is what we call the side one. I'm going to do direction to this six-sided shape. Now it's really about your shoulder girdle, nicely balancing about your rib cage, and your rib cage is nicely balancing about your pelvis. And your legs are just bringing a little support from your feet into the floor, into the rest of the body. So that's side one, shoulder to shoulder. Then you're going to think about direction from elbows. The elbows are resting on the table, they're connected to the table. Now you're going to think connecting them back into your shoulder joint, through your armpits. Now this is side 2 and 3. Side 4 and 5 are your forearms. From that nice resting point, you have your elbows resting on the table and your forearm resting on the table and your fingers resting on the table. You're gonna start with your fingers. You're thinking about your fingers are connected to your wrist, and your wrist is connected into the forearm, and the forearm is connected back in the elbow. Your elbow is connected into the shoulder joint. And the final side is side 6 is in between your hands. Now can you feel that your fingertips that resting on the table are connecting to each other? Like you have a plank of wood between, have a connection. Now it may be useful just to tuck your thumb a bit under and tuck your fingers a bit under, as if your hand will be resting as like a little paw on the table. Can you feel the connection more? Can you feel the connection less? That's certainly a different experience. Then we'll apply the same thinking process through a pelvis girdle. So side 1 of the pelvic girdle will be thinking about connecting one hip bone that is on the side, remember it's not on the top, to the other, through the back of your buttocks. Your hips are connecting to each other. Again, we can make a sound that zips up if it helps. You can make your buttocks dance to remind you where your buttocks are. Then side 2 and 3 is we're going to think about connecting your elbow into your shoulder. We're going to think about connecting your knee and your hip. So knee is connecting into your hip. You can think about it going through the top thigh or the bottom, doesn't matter. You may find something is useful for one side. And then we're going to think about the fingertips connecting into the elbow, and at the same time connecting the toes into the foot, through the foot into the ankle, doesn't matter which you're going to go on the top, on the bottom, to the back of your calf muscle into the knee, and the knee is back into the hip. And the last side, we're going to think about connecting your fingertips to each other, like you have a plank of wood. And we're going to think, but not do, about a connection that we have between our toes that resting in the ground. Excellent. So then you notice what you really have now is a nice 4 limbs connection into the torso, and torso is nicely balanced and offering that support that we want to have for the head and neck. I hope you found it useful.